Welcome back to Unplugged Church Edition. This is season 2, and we are here ready to get this party started. I am here with my phenomenal guest. I am Elder Stacy, and this is
Evangelist, Freddie.
Yes, and we have a phenomenal, fabulous, wonderful, amazing, beautiful guest. And she has some treats to share with the nations. And we are excited about the nuggets that she's going to drop. So go ahead and introduce her, Freddie.
Well, this is a pleasure, okay? Everybody, listen, call your aunts, your cousins, your family members. Call them to click in, share, listen, because you're going to want to hear. We have none other than Wilmington, Delaware's own Michelle Harlee. Listen, this young lady has so many hats. Hopefully I can get them all, but the main hats that she wears, she's a pastor of a lot of years. Like, she's seasoned pastor. She is a career woman for DuPont, which again, seasoned, and none other than city council representative for Wilmington. This woman has a lot to offer, a lot of nuggets, as you said, Elga, and she is willing to come and share and encourage. Remember, we had mentioned this is the season of the woman.
Yes.
And we want to encourage you. That's what I'm saying. You want to listen because I know this is going to bless somebody, change the heart. So, Michelle, welcome.
Thank you for this opportunity to be here on today.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Pleasure. Always a pleasure to be able to connect with other powerful women as yourselves.
Oh, thank you so much.
So, we do have a lot to ask, but hopefully we can get through them within 1 or 2 episodes. But you are, what we want to hit her off with.
So because Michelle, you wear so many hats.
Okay.
One being a pastor, associate pastor, one being a career professional at DuPont as a quality auditor, and also a city councilwoman. So we're going to just start off with the city councilwoman because I'm into this thing with politics and how you get your feet wet, how do you get started? You have so many issues to attack in the world today because there's so much going on, and it's like we want to be able to help people, not just from a spiritual standpoint, but we want to really be able to get out there and offer some human services to people that are in need. So it's like, so we're going to start there. How did you get started in politics? Like, what was your driving force? What was that one thing that you could say that said, what, I gotta jump and I gotta I gotta stand up and I gotta be that advocate for my community?
Okay, so well, thank you again, for this opportunity. So as it relates to getting started on a government level, I don't use the word politics. Elected officials actually work for the government, whether it's on a city, county, state, or on a federal level. As a legislator. We work for the government. But the way that I got started was, first of all, I was a community grassroots person. I worked in the community for about 10 years before getting elected civic association president. I was very involved in our political party for like 10 years. And when I say involved in our political party, meaning helping to get the vote out for other elected officials, our state electeds, as well as our federal or U.S. elected. So being a part of our party, understanding, the importance of voting, the importance of getting that vote out. That I was on that particular committee for like 10 years. And like I said, I was civic association president, like within my district. I sat on a number of boards, Stepping Stones Credit Union. I was a board member there. There were a number of organizations within the community that, like the strategic plan for the East Side, I was on that committee to talk about how we can improve the quality of life for seniors, for our youth, around health, and even around food, because in some of the communities within the 4th District, I represent the 4th District in Wilmington, and we do have some communities that we know that have food deserts, which means, there are not supermarkets around.
I'm glad you brought that up. Food desert. That's something that I just recently heard in the news, and people, I was with a group of people, and we had never heard that topic before until this Buffalo incident.
Okay.
And the food desert thing came up. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So, so the 4th district is the district that I represent in Wilmington, which includes Southbridge, the riverfront, both sides of the river, Christina Landing.
Oh, yes.
Most people know that because ShopRite is over in that area. And then Justice and Landon over by the movie theater, where the restaurants are. That's Justice and Landon. And then all of downtown Wilmington, the businesses as well as the residents. Yes, I really do. Downtown, up until about 4 years ago, was mainly a business district. But now you have residents, about 4,000 now, that live downtown, just downtown. And then the east side, south of 9th Street. And then it moves around to Midtown Brandywine, which is where Mickey Moto's, Washington Street Ale House, the Wilmington Hospital, that's Midtown Brandywine. And then it swings over to Trinity Vicinity, which is between Adams and Washington Street, 8th to 10th. So that's Trinity. So it's 6 communities. It's the most diverse district out of all 8 in the city of Wilmington. There's 8 districts. So the 4th district is where everything happens. So as far as development, as far as corporate headquarters, small businesses, large businesses, nonprofits, churches, like I have the majority of all of that like in my district. So knowing what's going on and having my ear to the ground. And as it relates to like the food deserts, I have like 2 communities, I would say, that are dealing with that. It would be Southbridge and the east side. Those are 2 of the communities, you know, mainly out of the 6.
So could you explain to the audience, to the people, the viewers, the listeners, what is a food desert? Because these are terms that are coming up as recently as it relates to certain neighborhoods and who are affected by food deserts. Can you explain that?
So typically food deserts are in communities where you have marginalized residents or underprivileged, low income. So normally those are the communities where they are identified most of the time. But food deserts basically mean not having access to fruits and vegetables and just healthy foods. So that's primarily, without, you know, getting too deep into it, communities where it's not easily accessible. And so a lot of times that means that there are not supermarkets that are close by, where if people don't have transportation, they're not able to access it. So if you don't have transportation to get to a supermarket and you live in an area that it doesn't have one, then by default, you know, you will be experiencing, you know, the negative effects, as they would say, you know, the health conditions when you're not having your fruits and your produce and your healthy foods that we need to be healthier.
And you said you got started at the grassroots level, politics. You should say the government, working for the people, because that's what you do. You are a city council person. You work for the people. So being a person, a people's person, you had to be a people's person in order to even get started. But you wanted to see change, I imagine. But you got started on that level. What made you go up to continue on up the ladder until reaching a city council person?
So working in the community and being an advocate in the community and having your ear to the ground, you're more aware of what's going on in terms of elections, right? So because I was already working with our political party and we helped to get the vote out, I'm more aware during election time who's running, who's not running, who's, you know, switching seats and things of that nature. So being involved with the political party, and I was already working within the 4th district community, I knew who all the players were in all 6 communities, because working with the political party, that's part of your job, going into each one of those communities, making sure people know when to vote, who the candidates are, and things of that nature. So being a part of the political party, being a volunteer already in the community, when the person that was in the seat that I occupy right now decided to move on, I knew that they was moving on. I was going to say she or he. that they were moving on. And so because I was very involved and we had worked on a lot of projects, I wanted to know like who's going to be, you know, the successor. You know, we got projects in the pipeline. Awesome. And I definitely didn't want some Johnny come lately that just wanted, you know, to have a position and not really have a heart for the people to be in that seat. So I started asking the different people like in the district. And so different people said, I think you should run. I think you should, you know, take that on. And I had no desire to run for an elected position. No, my heart was always to just get involved in the community and to make a difference, because I feel as though we don't have enough people in our communities getting involved, because I feel as though everybody should be concerned about something in your community, the streets, the parks, the youth, the seniors, you know, the health issues. I mean, I feel as though everybody should be an advocate for something. So anyway, so that's pretty much how I got started, when different ones asked me to start thinking about it. So I said, well, okay, you know, I will think about it. And I'm going to tell you what really made me really decide to do it. I have a colleague at work. We used to get together like once a month just to talk about, catch up, what's going on with him, what's going on in my life. So when we met, right around that time, it was time for us to get together to catch up. And so I said, you know, I told him, I said, you're not going to believe this, and maybe you will. I don't know. I said, but this is what's happening. You know, the seat is open. Our city council seat is open. And several people are asking me to run for that seat. What do you think? Because those are the kind of conversations we used to have. And he said to me, well, he calls me Mimi, right? So he said, Mimi, absolutely, you should run. Wow. You are the person. And he began to tell me all the reasons why, you know, that I should consider that seat. And then he said, and you know, one thing, I believe in you to the point I'm going to write you your first $600 check. Oh, wow. That's awesome. He's so, exactly. Yes, so right. Absolutely. So that right there let me know. Yes. Done. Wow. Right. That's how God works, right? Right. And the 600 is the maximum you can give a candidate. Okay. That's the maximum you can give. So he gave you the maximum. Yes, he gave me the maximum. Just freely. Yes. Just having the conversation. Because he believed that much that he was going to sow a seed on it.
That's really good. That's actually just a little pause, because I know there are people who are watching who are at that place. Not necessarily, you know, in the community, but they are at that place where they're like, God, I don't know. I'm so hesitant. Everyone else is saying. Right. But this could be a confirmation for someone that's at that place of saying, I don't know. Right. And it took a confirming word from a friend. Yes. And it didn't have to be a prophet. It didn't have to be your pastor. It could just be a casual conversation. Yes. And you needed that affirmation. That's really good. I like that.
That was really, you know, one of the reasons that I definitely knew it was for me to move forward. But as it relates to, you know, who are the other people that you want to confer with, of course, it was my pastor. Of course, my family. Right. You know, and I think I probably went the other way, like started with my pastor, started with my family, and then shared it with my colleague, right? Right. So when I went to my pastor, you know, I shared with him what the conversations had been about, and as it relates to me. So of course he was like, absolutely, 100%. He said, yes, that is for you. Behind you. Yeah, he knew that.
Your local church, is that in your community as well?
No, it's not. It's not. No, but it's in the district next to me, in the 3rd district. I represent the 4th. But yes, he was like 150%, of course, you know, with financial backing as well. Right. And, you know, he's been knowing me like since I was in my early 20s. So let's ask you a question. How long have you been a city council person now? How long have you held this seat and been in this position? Okay, so I am serving my second 4-year term, and I'm in the 2nd year. Okay. So my first term started in 2022. Yes. So I guess 2016. 2016 was when I started and got elected for 4 years, and then in 2020, God is good. So can you tell us, what do you think your biggest accomplishment has been since, you know, at least in your first term? What was your biggest accomplishment? I will say two that come to mind. One, saving taxpayers money. There was, oh, absolutely, absolutely. Having a meeting with our treasurer, the city treasurer, and she was sharing a presentation, and she was sharing how this process that they were using, how they spent so much money with mailing checks out and people not getting checks and having to remail them. It was just a big a money guzzler from my perspective. So me listening to her presentation, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, like, why aren't these people just getting direct deposit? Wow. In my mind, I was thinking that. So after the presentation, I have reached out to her and I said, hey, and it was basically our summer youth. The city hires youth during the summer. So that was a group of individuals that were not getting direct payment. And then once they had put out a mandate for the city of Wilmington employees, like in 1999, they never reinforced it. So like if you were a new employee coming in, nobody pretty much told them that you really should be getting direct deposits.
Wow.
And the temporary workers, so the temporary workers that came in after they had put legislation in place in the summer youth, they were a part of that, in my opinion, the waste of sending these checks out, people not getting them. Long story short, we decided that everybody had to get the direct deposit. And
that's taxpayer dollars.
Right. So as a result of it, it was like a $80,000 savings, a year-over-year savings.
Wow.
A year-over-year.
Wow.
$80,000 year-over-year.
I see that as an accomplishment.
Yes. So that's why I say, I think that's major because,
that is major.
As a legislator, it's our fiduciary responsibility as well to look at areas where we can save money. So saving taxpayers money, that was a big accomplishment. And then working with some single parents in one of the communities, I met with them every month to bring resources and information to them, just letting them know that it was, to keep hope alive as it related to just trying to encourage them around, going back to school, getting a better job, and just letting them know that they did matter. So I did that for 2 years, met with them every month, and decided that I would bring toys to their living spaces every year. And I also do turkeys for them as well. 62% of the parents there are single, and all of them have households. So I try to
me and Freddie got some work we can jump in, and you can lead the way, and we can pick up where you left off.
Volunteers are always welcome.
Awesome.
So that's one of my initiatives that I feel good about that I started.
Yes.
With meeting with them, and then after I ended the monthly meetings, I continued with the toy drive for Christmas and the turkey drive for Thanksgiving. Those are the two of the highlights.
Yeah, that's great. That is wonderful. So with this second term, what do you expect to do this second term?
So this term, we've already gotten started. The East Side is one of our marginalized communities, where it's one of our mainly African Americans, but the city of Wilmington is 76% African American. But you do have communities where you have more African Americans than others. So the East Side is one. And so the housing stock there, you have generations of African Americans that live there, and a lot of seniors that have invested their life savings in their houses, and they need to be repaired, and they cannot afford it. So when the federal government decided to give all the municipalities funding, they're called American Rescue Plan dollars, I, wanted to work with our mayor to make sure that money went over into that community to help with neighborhood stabilization around housing, and it has already started.
Oh, wonderful. That's one of my biggest issues. Yes, that is awesome.
Yes.
That's my heart.
This sounds great. Great track record, got a great history. I mean, you just all around very in tune with your community. But how, because you are a pastor, associate pastor, how do you balance? Have you ever found yourself at, like, not necessarily well, I guess it could be a compromise. Some people, try not to church and state together. How do you balance that? Have you ever found yourself at a place where you're like, oh, This is not
or is that still a thing?
Right. Right. That's a good question. That's a very, very good question. So first of all, my moral compass has all to do with, being a believer. So every day, everything is all about, being in line with what God's word says for myself personally, right? So as it relates to how I interact, how I deal with people, that is first and foremost with respect, with dignity, working in unity, so those are some key interaction skills that I'm always displaying, whether it's externally, meaning in the community, or internally with my colleagues, council colleagues. Now, I will be very, very honest with you. I have not had legislation that I had to vote on yet that compromises my belief.
Okay.
But if I did, I would say that this is not about me personally. This is I'm in this seat for the people. So I cannot impose my personal beliefs on my district or on the people. So that is how I would handle it. I really have not had to deal with like an abortion law, because the city council level, we don't have to vote on those kinds of topics. But to answer your question, if I had a situation where I had to, think about, okay, my personal belief is this, but I have to remember that this seat belongs to the people and it doesn't belong to me personally. So I can have my personal belief,
right?
But yet, I have to keep in mind that I represent the people and the community, and so I would have to handle it from that perspective.
That's awesome, because that was one of our questions as a thought leader, because that's a term that's a lot of people using nowadays, influencer and thought leader. And we were going to ask you that question as a thought leader, but being in in the government and politics, because that's what it actually is, politics. What was your thought about them possibly or potentially overturning Roe versus Wade? What's your thought? You say, it's your personal opinion, your personal thought, but you don't force it on the people.
Absolutely. And I'll say this.
More with regards to the law being overturned.
Okay, so I don't think you can, like I'll use the abortion law because that's really hot right now. I don't think you can legislate what's in people's hearts. You know what I'm saying? Like if I have a mind to get an abortion for whatever reason, really that's my own personal choice. That's how I feel. Now, am I for or against abortion? That's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
Okay. But I feel as though some things is between individuals and God. It's not up to me to make that decision. So if it's in a person's heart and they feel no conviction about it, whether I think it's, regardless of what I think about it, it's what they think about it, because they're the ones that are going to have to live with that decision.
Right.
So, if someone asks me my personal opinion about it, I will share that. And one good thing about being a legislator is that when we vote on legislation on the question, we can always share and make a comment. So as a believer, I could say, my own personal beliefs, I can talk about that. And then I can also transition into the fact that I'm here for the people. The seat belongs to the people, and therefore my vote will be what it is.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I can share
this is helpful.
my personal belief on the question when we have an opportunity to talk, so people are clear on what Michelle Harlee believes and feel, but at the same time letting them know that I'm clear on the fact that I represent the people, and so my vote might be a little different than what I personally believe.
That's good. I'm sure you just helped a lot of people, to differentiate between, your personal belief and then having to vote differently because you're still, considering the people, and you're not opposing your own personal views,
right?
Even though you may feel a particular way about it because of your, your religious belief, I should say, it's not affecting your political belief or your political actions. That's really good.
Yes.
That's good.
Like you said, the chair belongs to the people.
Yes. Yes.
That
and you can't just say it for one topic, and not all the topics. You understand? That this seat is for the people. It's the seat for the people, no matter what we're talking about, no matter what we're voting on. But I will tell you, like I said, we haven't had those kinds of, controversial issues, where I had to do that, right? Yeah. So, but all in all, my vote is always to empower, to improve the quality of life, for my district and for Wilmingtonians. So if there's any legislation being voted on that I know is going to improve the quality of life, is you can almost just count on Michelle Harlee's vote as a yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Michelle Harlee, yes.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this politics up with one last question.
Okay. She's ready for you.
I was ready.
I got the questions.
Yes,
I love it. These are good questions.
Yes. The first African American woman being appointed as United States Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson. What are your thoughts and your views?
My thought was, it's about time. Yes. I mean, to just put it succinctly, it's about time. And what she had to go through, it was very rigorous. But I feel as though I just love how she also had, it was an opportunity. Sometimes when we're under the microscope and we're being ostracized, or we feel as though, we're being mistreated, it's also an opportunity to show the world, how you can keep your composure, what kind of character you have. And so when I, looked at that whole situation, I said, you know what? She had an opportunity to really show the world, America, that, what, I really do belong here. I really do deserve this seat.
Yes.
I really, can, hold my composure in the midst of, pressure.
She did not break.
She did not break.
She did not break.
So
that was a blessing to see, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
It was so empowering. And
yes. Because I knew that she was going to get voted. When you understand the Senate, and that's a whole nother topic, that we can come back. Oh, yes, because most people don't understand the authority of the Senate and Congress and the authority of the House Representatives, right?
Right.
So, all that.
Right. So because Democrats were the majority on the Senate side, we already knew that she had the votes from our party.
Right.
So all she had to do was just, hold and be steady.
Yes.
Be steady.
Not break.
Right.
And
right.
not,
Absolutely.
Turn on that thing that they always talk about Black women have, but that's not
Angry,
the truth,
attitude.
Right.
Those
she
are some
showed up strong for us sisters.
Yes.
She showed up large and in charge.
Yes, she did.
And she just
humble.
did us an amazing,
really
wasn't
she?
Yes.
So humble.
Yes.
Watching this
she did
an amazing.
Yes, that stood out to me more than anything. And like I said, because I understood the backstory, being a legislator, I just that was my aha moment and what I learned about her. Because sometimes you're not 100% sure. Just because the Dems had the majority on the Senate doesn't mean that everyone would vote.
Exactly.
So you don't know for sure.
Right.
But that was my take on it. I just love how she demonstrated composure. She demonstrated humility. She demonstrated her femininity as well. I thought that stood out very, very vivid to me, all those things. And then it also allowed us to understand her background, and how she was more qualified than most of those Republicans, because it was Republicans that was trying to belittle her. She had way more education than all of them. They wasn't even qualified to, sometimes you're not even qualified to even offend me. That's how I feel sometimes. You're not even qualified.
Right.
Okay.
Not qualified to offend me. That's good. That will preach too.
Thank you for viewing and listening to Unplugged Church Edition. Remember to subscribe to both Spotify and YouTube. Don't forget, like, follow, and share on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you again for listening to Unplugged Church Edition as we continue to have soulful conversations.